Welcome, Thunderbirds, back to our third ThunderPod episode.
Hello and welcome.
I'm back joining you for the latest episode, and we're so excited to introduce you to our co-host today, KP.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
That's right, guys. So we're so happy to have you, and we're so excited to get into the rest of our show. We've got quite the one here for you today. We're going to start by just getting to know KP a little bit.
Then, after that, we've got an in-depth look at the Des Moines Creek Basin.
That's right. Over the summer, the Thunderbird got an exclusive sneak peek interview into some of the inner workings of the SeaTac airport and how they treat as well as construct the water treatment plant and disbursement that goes on right under our very feet here. But first, we're going to start with getting to know KP.
Yay!
So, KP, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from this area? Where are you from? How'd you end up here at Highline?
I am from here, born and raised. I love Seattle. Seattle's my home.
Yeah.
And I ended up at Highline through Running Start. So I'm a Running Start student from Taiyi.
From Thai.
Taiyi High School.
Then
Go Titans.
Thai volleyball.
Taiyi volleyball. I am.
Yeah. Tell us about the sports that you play.
I play volleyball. I do. So the sports that I have done in my history of my athleticism, I've done volleyball, which was my main. I did wrestling. When I was in middle school. I completed a full season of that, and then I tried in my freshman year of high school, but I got locked in on volleyball, and I was doing clubs, so I had to choose between the sports, and I was paying hundreds of dollars for volleyball, and so I was like, we're gonna go with that. And then I ran track all throughout middle school. I haven't done it since then, which is frightening because I plan to do it also in the spring for my senior year, and then I'm picking up a sport. My aunt would be so proud of me. But our team, our school has a bowling team now.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like a lot of people are clowning me for it, but I don't care. I love bowling. It's so chill. It's going to be so nice. It's going to be a breath of fresh air from like the fast pace, stressful routine of volleyball because it's very jam-packed.
Yeah. And you don't have to compete, to your hardest in every sport.
I'm going to have so much fun. It's going to be purely for fun. I'm going to win.
But of course.
I'm an athlete. I'm going to win.
Without question. So tell us a little bit more about your time here at Highline. How did you end up in the newsroom?
Yeah. So it was the spring quarter of my first year that I ended up putting beginning news writing on my schedule because just didn't get awesome. So my academic advisor recommended that to me. And the rest is history, pretty much. I had a lot of fun with it, and now I'm back this quarter in the advanced news class and writing more and more stories. So
absolutely. Tell us about some of the stories that you've written.
Yeah, I have written a couple. 2 or 3 articles surrounding politics, which was a shock and a surprise for me. I didn't think I was going to go straight into politics my first year, but there was a lot going on politically, so it was kind of
pulled you that way.
Yeah.
Tell us about the process of how did you start out those stories? Did you know it was going to be political, or?
Yeah, I knew because just what the topic was and the people that were involved. So one of my first articles was about Elon Musk and the I guess like his relationship with Trump in office and things like that, and the backlash and how his like public image has changed and the way people see him. And so I did one on him, and then I did another on Jasmine Crockett, which was the Texas State House Representative for Texas or whatever. Love her.
Yeah, and what got you interested in those stories? And was it something that you found reassigned?
It really, so my dad watches the news a lot. That's like basically all he watches. And he's like, you need to watch the news more, blah, 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 blah. And so like, I'm just around it all the time, and it is interesting. And so sometimes I do find myself just like sitting and watching the news. And he also had a bit of, I'm not going to say an obsession, but was just really into Jasmine Crockett at the time. And so that kind of wore off on me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to write an article about her and what she's doing and the personality that she brings in her workplace and what, how that affects her. And so, yeah, like I was saying, like usually the people pretty much just like determine what is political or not. And then also, yeah, the the people and what's interesting to write.
You've got such a strong voice when you're writing. Tell us how you developed that. Did it come naturally, or did you maybe amped up as you went along?
Yeah, I mean, I've been writing really since I would say elementary. They'd have you write short stories or whatever in elementary, and then in middle school, um, I was in the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
That was the pandemic time when I was in middle school, 6th grade, and so locked in at home, had nothing to do, and I started writing stories. And that's where it kind of started with like my love for writing. I didn't read as much as I probably should have, and I am slowly getting into that now, but I wrote a lot more. So I've always been writing. And then, you know, you kind of graduate into like essays for high school. And then I feel like writing an article really wasn't that different. It was just the way that it's formatted, because when you write an article for the Thunderword, you're not writing an English paper.
Right, yeah.
And that's normally how it kind of like the structure is for me, because it's just so ingrained that like this is how you write. And so a lot of the times it will come out like that at first, and then the editing process changes the way that the story comes across and the tone of things. And then I don't know, I feel like I'm a strongly opinionated person, and I have a personality.
Yeah, absolutely.
So usually I'll just say what's on my mind, really. If I have to censor something, then I will, or say it in a way that is more
Approachable.
approachable, appropriate, or whatever. But for the most part, I like try to write in the way that like I speak. And then certain topics though also kind of will change my tone. It just depends on it also depends on how I feel about the topic. So
I think that's a really common approach to writing.
yeah.
And tell us about some of your goals going forward here at Highline and then maybe greater in your career.
Oh my God, what are my goals for here? I want to finish out my AA.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm very close. I think I'm like more than halfway percent done with that. This was one of my goals to get into podcasting finally, and see what this is like. And so far,
Wonderful.
loving it. I just want to keep writing. I do want to try to stay active in the Thunderword even after this quarter is over. Because like right now it's one of my classes. But like next quarter it'll be 3 classes plus this. But like the Thunderword is pretty flexible and lenient on things and like how we get things done in the deadlines. So
yeah, we meet everyone where they are for sure. Yeah.
It would just be a matter of like finding time. But I would still love to continue writing, because when I did it in the spring, that was right before the summer. And then I didn't write anything in the summer. I was doing summer classes, but I didn't write anything in the summer. And then I just got back into it. So hopefully just keeping that consistency. And then for future goals, when I go off to college, Washington State,
congratulations,
in Pullman.
Yes.
I plan to do broadcast news and sports management as my major. And I just want to be super involved with the stuff that they have going on. So like their cable 8, TV station, radio stations, all that kind of stuff, and just get more experience working with people and in the field, and like whether it's in front of the camera or behind the camera with operations, whatever. And with the sports management part, keep it centered around sports, because sports is life for me.
So that sounds like a really bright future ahead of you.
Yay.
And thank you so much for joining us today and listening to this episode. Next, we're going to switch over to a pre-recorded segment from the Des Moines Creek Basin. All right, we're here with Josh Fagan, who is the Senior Environmental Management Specialist for Aviation, Environmental, and Sustainability at the Port of Seattle. Josh, you've worked here for 20 years and have seen a lot of the fruition of the Des Moines Basin project come to light. We'd love to hear just a background about the project and start from the beginning. What is the need for the Basin project here at the SeaTac Airport?
All right, the surrounding communities had a concern about Des Moines Creek and the water quality, the flashiness, the issues that would arise when increased amounts of stormwater would make it into the creek. And worked in partnership to develop projects to reduce the impacts of the stormwater. As the basin got developed, more stormwater would make it its way through the system, and that flashiness is not good. So these projects were all designed to eliminate that and help preserve the creek habitat downstream
Wow.
all the way to the sound.
And waterland is a huge aspect of our communities here in Washington. I'd love to know more about practically what this looks like for the airport. You walked us through some of the infrastructure today. Tell us about that process as you've seen it.
So the project started well before I even got here. A lot of the planning between all the basin committee members, as I think as early as the 1997 planning for or maybe even earlier for the ongoing projects at the airport that were going to drive some development around the basin, and that's where a lot of the baseline information was collected in regards to stream hydrology and working with King County to see what was going on, as they had already had some existing stations around. So that all came together with a idea of what do we need to do to eliminate this issue, and where is there property that this can happen, and are there existing facilities that we can tie into and work with to help improve this issue or eliminate the issue. And that was a long planning process with a lot of different municipalities and groups to kind of weigh in on to develop what ultimately became these larger projects.
And talk to us about the success of that project. Has it eliminated or mitigated those issues that the city was seeing?
So there, as far as we can tell through the ongoing monitoring that happened early on post-construction, the successful elimination of these excess flows has been occurring. The systems are working as designed. We are getting water removed from the system, both directly to the sound or to a slow release through the other detention facilities that have been created. And that combined with the enhanced habitat of the creek when they relocated and redesigned the section of the creek post outlet from the detention facility has really allowed the water quality to be enhanced from what it was, both the riparian habitat around it providing shade and the facilities themselves limiting the flow and also providing an area for any potential turbidity to drop out because it's in a detained area as opposed to constantly flowing. That's been beneficial on many fronts.
Yeah. And talk to us more about in that enhancement process, the filtration that goes into the water. You were showing us earlier how that looks on the airfield.
Oh, on the airfield, for pieces that are outside majority of the basin committee projects, the stormwater is going through either bioswales or filter strips, we call them, alongside the runway or at outside of pre a pond or another swale or collection structure. So that water will go in, and then with the biofiltration soils, media mixes, and grass itself, infiltration will occur, but also just it slows the water down, and water that does make it even through those systems into the ponds, which then make it into the creeks, are just not turbid and have been treated through just the organic contact.
Right. Absolutely. Very important system.
And then on the end of each of those, there's also a flow control structure typically that will prevent water from just being a fire hose of water coming out of a pipe that can cause erosion issues in the actual creek. And that controls to set amount to not impact the receiving water.
Very, very important stuff. I'd love to talk more about the wildlife in the area. We were talking about earlier bird balls and the beehive or the bee colony that we see out there. Tell us about those projects, how they interline there.
Yeah, the bird balls came around as one of the wildlife hazard management plans. There's an extensive wildlife group here at the airport with biologists on staff and federal requirements for actually managing wildlife in the area. So there's extensive fencing and ponds that we have for stormwater are an attractant, or would be an attractant to waterfowl. So open water is not something we want to have. And a creative solution to preventing that being an attractant is to put these bird balls in, and they cover the surface area and they float on the surface. And so from the sky, birds are not seeing water. They're not attracted to the area, and there's nowhere for them to land. Even if they thought maybe there was, they'd come down and find bird balls covering it. So it both is, those are beneficial both for preventing the waterfowl from using the habitat, but also it does have a water quality effect on keeping the temperature of the water a little bit cooler, which is great for when it leaves the detention ponds, because in shallow water situations, especially, detained water can heat up through the sunlight, and the bird balls will help prevent that. They absorb the heat, and the water itself is not absorbing the heat and to as great of an extent. So that part has worked very well. Really happy with the bird balls and the different shapes that we've used, and some experimentation back and forth about how that all works.
And could you speak more to how there have been steps taken to make sure that surrounding wildlife have not been affected negatively by the port, and how that plays into your job?
Well, as we did our mitigation projects, we along the west side, a mile and a half of creek area, and between here and site down in Auburn, over 100 acres of mitigation project. Those were densely planted, and invasives were removed, and really increased the quality of the habitat. In stream, we did large woody debris, added gravel, created area, removed tires and all the man-made infrastructure that was here from early on, where people had bridges and all sorts of things, and yards up into their backyards. So all that stuff got removed to make this all a really natural system again, which in urban setting is not that common. Urban streams just get impacted by people. It's the nature of what happens when you're surrounded by people. And this now is an opportunity throughout this whole section of creek to bring it back to a natural cover. And to help with the wildlife hazards in that, we planted them really densely. So a lot of these areas are wetland or creek, and if they were open from the air, again, they'd be an attractant. So we planted over 2,000 plants per acre, just really dense. And that was on purpose to upgrade the habitat, but also to serve as a wildlife deterrent, where we didn't have to then be dealing with wildlife that were coming up from up above. Still accessible down below. The streams have been improved as a habitat for fish that would use it. And it's, as we work through all of our daily operations, we, those systems like the ponds we saw, the detention facility, the practices we have in relation to construction projects, they are all in place to make sure that the best quality of water is making it to the creeks that surround us. Absolutely. And that way we feel like we can most benefit the surrounding communities and environment.
Absolutely. Well, I know as a Des Moines community member, I'm very grateful for the thoughtfulness and the consideration that's gone into this project. Is there anything else about the basin you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, I think that's an open question that I was not necessarily thinking about. The basin in general, I mean, I think it's gone through a lot of change. It's seen a lot of development, and I like to think that the port, through development on its site, but also its involvement with the Basin Committee, has really helped do that in a responsible way. I feel like as I visit some of the developments and stuff that happened south of the primary airport habitat properties, that I have a good idea of what has worked and not worked, and it seems like they're doing the right things as we work our way further down the system. And just from speaking with other people that are in other technical stewardship groups, or Trout Unlimited fish releases and things of that, I think from my experience of being here for so long and being out in these sites, everyone seems to be happy with the improvement of the habitat. They do realize that there's been an improvement, and I think we can continue to do that. And the land stewardship policies that we have within the basin will only keep that going, and like continued partnership with the Basin Committee will just help keep that going also.
Well, it's some wonderful work. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today, and we're excited about the future maintenance of this project.
Great.
Yep.
Switch gears into rousing Thunderbird stories we want to spotlight. Here's a few articles to keep an eye out for. Article 3 and the ASC by Mackenzie Charles, our podcast videographer and editor, hits hard with her coverage of the Academic Success Center loss of Title III funding. If you utilize tutoring services, you won't want to miss this article. That's not all. Our next article is Alchemize by Lila Nutting. Podcast co-host and Thunderbird extraordinaire, Lila gives us her take on the book Alchemize. This is a retelling of a certain magical wizard series with an alternative ending. If you're missing that Halloween spirit or looking to rehash your favorite fan fiction, check this one out. And last but not least, Backlash from Trump AI by Marlene Cataneo. Marlene is knocking it out of the park with her third article so far. She takes a 360 view of the president's use of AI-generated content while in office. She explores both sides of the coin while sharing details you might not be familiar with. That is everything we have in this week's Thunderbird. Now, back.
Thanks so much, KP. We're going to go through a few events that you'll see here on Highlands campus. If you're looking for ways to keep out of the cold during this November season, here's some things you might want to check out. First, finding purpose and career exploration. This workshop will take place on November 11th from 10:30 a.m. to 12 o'clock. This workshop is presented by the Career Transfer Services Center and will focus on career exploration. If you're looking to find purpose in your career or just make a decision, this can be really daunting. You don't have to do it alone. This stop-in event will show you how to put your feet on the right path. Our next event is Coffee and Chats with the University of Washington. This takes place on Friday, November 14th in Building 6 and Room 164. Representatives from all campuses of UW will be here on campus to answer questions and ease your concerns. Stop in for a few minutes and grab a pastry. Lastly, enrollment for winter quarter is starting. Check your CTC link for specific enrollment dates, but beginning on October 30th to November 10th, your day for enrollment may be coming up. Winter quarter is coming quick. This is something that you won't want to forget.
That's our show for today. We have 5 more weeks in this quarter. Check out thethunderword.com for every weekly edition on Thursdays and for the ThunderPod archive if you'd like to check out past episodes.
Thanks so much for being here, KP, and thank you, Thunderbirds, for this episode.
And we will see you next time.
This week's ThunderPod is produced by Kara Stewart, Mackenzie Charles, and Evelyn Rissell. Today's episode was hosted by KP and Evelyn, and this week's episode was written by Evelyn. Our associate producer is Rachel Stewart, and our editor is Mackenzie.